let's get to work on our next infographic. This one's going to have to do with birthdays in this class and the months in which they're distributed. Now, here's how this is going to work today. You're looking at my calendar right now, and you see this is where we are. It's Illustrator number 9. It's another infographic, this one having to do with birthdays. I'm going to get this out of the way for a second, and I'm going to get this out of the way. I'll come back to that here in just a few minutes. What you're going to have to do to get this file, normally when I am at school, I distribute the file to your network drive. I'm not there today. So you're going to have to get this by using Google Chrome and going to My Big Campus using Google Chrome. Don't use Internet Explorer, because Internet Explorer doesn't handle the files the correct way. So I think you can probably find Google Chrome on your desktop, or maybe down in your taskbar at the very bottom of your screen. Look for this logo, find Google Chrome, and fire it up and get on the internet using Google Chrome. It's important that you use Chrome. Now, once you do that, you're going to have to get to mybigcampus.com and log in. I've already done that right here. I've gone to mybigcampus.com, I put in my login information, and I am logged in on My Big Campus, and I'm using Google Chrome. Now, once you've done that, here's what we're going to do to get the file that you will need for today. If you come over here to Groups on the left-hand side, you may have to scroll it down just a little bit and click where it says Groups. And then you may have to scroll this down a little bit, because all the classes that you're in, whether the teacher uses My Big Campus or not, all the classes that you're in, there is a group for that class. All right, so all of my classes have these Area 140 kind of logo banner things here, and you need to pay attention in case you're in a graphics class, or you got to pay attention to make sure you're getting the right class, because I've got Apps 3 and I've got Apps 4, so you have to pay attention and look carefully to make sure that you're getting into the right group. If you're in 3rd hour, it's going to be Arvin Apps 3. If you're in 4th hour, it's going to be Arvin Apps 4. You're going to need to click that group. I'll use 3rd hour to demonstrate this. So I click this, and then what I want to do is on this little set of buttons that goes across the top here, I'm going to Resources. I have left the file that you need today under the Resources section. So if you click on Resources, scroll it down a little bit, and then, oh, look right here, it says number 9, Apps, Infographic, Birthday, and this is for period 3. Period 4, you have your own copy. All right, now here's how this is going to work when you click on this. All right, and some of you may know some other tricks, and if you do, go ahead and use what you know. But if you just point to this link where it says number 9 apps, you just click on it, you're going to see a little arrow pop on here, and then down the bottom left-hand corner of Google Chrome, you'll see this thing where it's downloading the file. Now, it's going to put it in your Downloads folder. If you were to go click on your Explorer folder and look in your Downloads folder that I'm pointing to right now, then you would see it. Oh, look, there it is. This number 9 apps infographic. And you can just double click this. If you go to your Downloads folder, double click that, it'll start up in Illustrator and you're off to the races. All right. But the other thing you can do is down on the bottom in Chrome, on the bottom left-hand side, if you click this, then it should go ahead and open up in Illustrator, down the bottom left-hand corner of Chrome. So we've got it here. Let's take a look at what we've got. I'm going to zoom out. Well, let me zoom back in a little bit and just kind of move this around some. So we've got a blank artboard here, and we're going to create an infographic that's going to indicate for us how many birthdays fall in each month in this class. Now, I'm using data from period 3 and period 4. You've got your own copy of this, so it'll be a little bit different, but that's fine. The data's right over here on the side. All right, there are 5 January birthdays, 2 February, and so on and so on. Okay, great. Now, when you get this done, it's going to look something like this, but you're going to kind of use your own ideas about exactly how you do this. All right, here's the thing. You are going to have to create what's called an indicator. When you do an infographic, you have to make an indicator. Now, in this example over here, I made a birthday cake. All right, I'll pull one over here and kind of stretch it up a little bit, and you can see it a little bit better. But I worked on creating a birthday cake. All right. So when I moved it and stretched it, it doesn't look quite as good as it did before, but that's all right. You get the idea. So exactly what you make is really kind of up to you. I've got some ideas for you. You could do a balloon. And you could use balloons. You could use party hats. You could use birthday presents. You could try and make a cake if you want to. Anything that kind of indicates birthday. That's the whole key with an infographic. Don't just do, you don't want to just come along here and do, okay, I made a box. Not unless you're going to kind of decorate that up a little bit and make it look like a present. That would be all right. But just like a box or a dot or something like that, nah, come on. Let's make it birthday-like, which means, let's do like a balloon or a party hat or something like that. Now, I'm going to work very quickly, but I want to show you a couple of ideas here. All right. Now, you notice if I scroll this down, if you'll look at all of the artboard, the months are already kind of mapped out right across here, January, February, March, all the way across. So like, whatever indicator we're going to use, we're going to have 5 of them for January. All right, well, it could start off really simple here. We could make just kind of an oval like that. You could fill it with some kind of color, whatever color you think you want. I might take the paintbrush here and just kind of make, I'm doing a balloon, and so I'm going to make like a balloon string that just kind of hangs down like that a little bit. Now, if you're going to make something like that, you might want to group it together. Go to Object, go to Group, and just keep it together. That way it can be sized. If you made it like too big, you could shrink it down. Now, if I was going to use a balloon as my indicator here to show January birthdays, well, okay, then I could Alt-drag that, and I could work on, I'll get those both selected and Alt-drag them. And then I need one more here, so I'll get it selected and Alt-drag it. And so that's an indication right there that there are 5 January birthdays. All right, I'm using balloons as a number indicator instead of just, like plugging a number in there. I've got 5 balloons indicating 5 January birthdays. All right, well, let's look at something else. What else could you do? Well, gosh, let's see. I'm going to go get the polygon tool. Click once on the artboard, say that I want 3 sides, click OK. I'm going to take the black arrow tool here and make that a little bit taller, and I'm thinking party hat now. So I could come along here and I could fill that party hat with a color, and then if I wanted to, I could maybe get the ellipse tool and put a few little dots on the party hat. And those dots could be, I'll just do a purple dot here. You could do whatever you want. And I'm going to Alt-drag that dot a couple of times here. So you're starting to get the idea. You don't have to spend forever on your indicator, but you want to make something that is kind of birthday-like here. A party hat, a birthday cake, a present, a balloon. All right, there's my lovely party hat. Now, it's made out of like 5 different pieces, so it would be maybe a good idea to group it. Then you can size it. If you want them to be smaller than that, you can size them down easily. And again, I would do the same kind of thing here for January. There are 5, so I would Alt-drag, and Alt-drag, and Alt-drag, and Alt-drag. And so I want to make sure I have 5 of them for January. Try to get them lined up halfway decent as you put them on there. And there are ways that you can line. There's a little align panel right here that you can bring up if you want to, and use these things to like center them up. And we'll talk more about that later. Here's a vertical distribute, and that might help some. So you can try that out too, where it says align, and you can work with that if you want to. So you see, that's the kind of thing we're working on. That indicates 5 January birthdays. Now, when you go on to February, well, then all you'd have to do, February is a 2, right? So I would select 2 of those and Alt-drag it and bring it right down here to February. And that's got it. And March is once again, there are 2 March birthdays. So I would select both of those and Alt-drag those, and I've got 2 March birthdays. There are 4 April birthdays. All right, well, I could come along here and carefully select 4 of these, hold the Alt key, drag them, and you're starting to see how this is going to work a little bit, right? You get the April indicators in there. And so I'm trying to create kind of an indication of the results of this information by using little indicators here, and I'm going to do it in a graphic fashion. So now I would just carry this on and go all the way down, taking the numbers that I provided for you here. I would just carry this on and go all the way down to the end and work on creating this whole situation where I've got an infographic that shows all the number of all the birthdays for all the class. Now, there's some things that you can do to kind of dress it up a little bit, and if I go back to my one that I had finished over here, you see that I did a couple of other things, and in fact, on the file that you're going to open up, this says put a title up here at the top. Well, okay, that part of it's pretty easy, right? You just take the text tool and click up here, and let's make that say birthdays, and then select that text with the black arrow and make it bigger. Or you could say class birthdays, you know, whatever you want to do there is okay. And of course you can choose a font that you like. You kind of take a look around at different fonts styles and decide what you want to use. I'll use this Ravi font because it's kind of fun. All right. So so put a title on it, color it up the way you want. Now you'll also notice here that on this finished example that I have right here, I've got things like lines in between the columns. If I zoom back a little bit, you can see January, February, March, and I've got lines in between the columns. And I also have kind of a colored background. Well, the trick to that is just this. I'll zoom back a little bit on this, and I could take a rectangle, stretch a rectangle that covers the entire artboard. You probably want to do this last. And I could color it with some kind of color, whatever color I decide I want. And then here's the thing, obviously it's covering everything up, so you would have to do that old right click, arrange, and send to back. And then that goes behind everything. All right. So that gives you kind of a colored background if you want to do that, if you want to have a colored background. Now, one other thing you can do, and you know, you'd have to kind of fudge around with the size of your indicators a little bit, but you could also, and I'm zooming in some to show you this, if you want to put in like a divider line between the months, you could come and get the line tool, the line segment tool, and just drag right up like, I went a little bit too far. And you may want to, when you put a line on there, you might want to stroke it up some to give it a little bit of width. And you could maybe even do that before you put your indicators in there. Now, even with a line, you could, if you want to, you could alt drag it. If you don't want to draw the line over and over, you could alt drag it and make copies of it. And so again, I'm not going to do that whole thing, but you see where that's headed, right? I am working on kind of putting in some divider lines. I've got a colored background. The biggest thing on this, the thing that's going to take you the most time here is making your indicator. You know, you got to come up with some kind of indicator for the numbers. And again, the indicator is going to be a party hat, a balloon, a birthday cake, a present, all of which you can do pretty easily with very simple shapes. You can come up with something that will work for an indicator. All right, and then when you know, like I said, when you get done, it might look something like this. Yours will have your own personality reflected in what you do. You're going to use your own colors. You're going to use your own indicator. You're going to use your own fonts, all that kind of thing. But this is what you're shooting for. You're going to work up an infographic that shows the number of birthdays by month in this class. When you get it all done, you know, what you'll do is click File. If you just click File and click Save, remember, because we grabbed it off of My Big Campus, you might be saving into your Downloads folder. Well, that's all right. You know, if you just click File, click Save, it's going to save it in your Downloads folder. And then when you are turning it in, you would just, you know, go just like you always do. You would go to My Big Campus, and you would have to look in your Downloads folder when you're looking for your file to turn in. It's probably going to be in your Downloads folder right there. You just find the file that you need and submit that on My Big Campus. All right, the big thing is trying to get it done and get it saved. And if you run into any really terrible difficulty turning it in, I can help you with that when I get back. All right, folks, that is the task of the day. You're going to work on a little infographic indicating birthdays. Got to make an indicator. Got to use the numbers that are on the artboard. Got to get the file off of My Big Campus. All right, off you go. Your turn.